Fight for patient rights and the rights of the people of this country. And we're losing them all. They're all going to corporate. Corporate takes everything. You know, and the working people get less and they lose more. Yes, a nice way to put it. Yeah. I sure hope so. He sounds like he will, and what he said his beliefs are. So all I can do is hope that he stays to that, and when he becomes president, and we see the world turn around.
Now, he said he's for single payer. How do you think that would help people in this country?
Well, I mean, everybody should have a right to health care. I hate to see people who are sick, and they finally get insurance, and they come in so ill. If they would have been helped months sooner, they would not have been that ill. You know, and their recovery period would have been better, and there would be less deaths from illness.
Do you think they're pushing people out of the hospital?
Well, over the years I've been in nursing, I see patients leaving sooner and sooner. And sometimes I wonder if that is correct, or is it because it's the insurance is doing it. You know, I'd hate for that to be a fact, but how else can you think of it? Because they're pushed out so quick now.
We're here because we want a candidate that actually supports nurses' values and working people values. We're all about the Main Street campaign. We want to make sure people have good living wages. We want health care to be right for everybody, and education to be not so atrocious in terms of the cost. I work at St. Joseph's Hospital in Stockton. What's going on there? We are having a fight right now because money speaks to a lot of corporate people. And one of the fight we're having is that they actually do not have enough staff to care for the patients safely. And so we're having that fight right now with them. There is a staffing requirement in California, but they use excuses like people are calling in sick, which isn't true. Their minimum staffing is not enough to provide for safe patient care and break relief for our nurses.
St. Joseph's privately owned?
No, it is part of Dignity Health, part of our Hello Human Kindness campaign.
So the executives make a lot of money?
They spend a lot of money on that, and yet on the other hand, we do not feel that the staff is being treated with human kindness because we are not having break relief, so we don't even meet our basic needs. Having a meal, having a break, uninterrupted flow, uninterrupted care so that, or a break so that we can refresh ourselves.
I'm here because I love Bernie. I'm Ruth Seaford. I'm from San Jose Kaiser. And I am so touched that Bernie comes to these things. He marched with us for the Ebola crisis. He really cares about people. And I'm just emotional about him being here.
So you think things will change if he gets elected? Or?
I know things will change. He has the drive. He has the right things in mind, caring, nurses' values. He's behind all the common people.
Now these companies like Kaiser, they're making a lot of money. Where's all the money going?
Well, we know where the money's going. That's why we had a strike last year, and we won. And we got what we wanted for patient care. And we're not going to let Kaiser or any other big company ruin our country.
You think that's what's driving him? More profits?
Oh, I know that's what's driving him. You know, everybody thinks hospitals are for not-profit. There's always part of them that is for profit, and they want to keep making their money. So we want to make sure that the patients are taken care of before anybody makes money. We need universal health care, and we need it now.
And Bernie has said he's for single payer. How would that change things in this country if you had single payer?
That would make things more equal for everyone. Now there's gaps in the insurance plan that's going on now. Rich people still get better coverage. Some people that had no coverage at all have some, but some people, their coverage, they still can't afford the co-pays that are turned down for surgeries and needed care and services.
So it's a tiered system?
Yes. No, it's not equal. You know, people are still making money in the private sector, which I'm not against people making money, but not on the backs of people that are indigent and poor and need help up. I one time was down on my luck, and I got help. And I want everyone to be able to succeed. I have 2 college degrees, and I went on. Everybody should have the right in this country.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jessica. I'm a registered nurse for Kaiser, and I agree. I think that it's important for family members to be with their loved ones if they're in the hospital, because they will get pushed out sooner than they're due. We have to advocate not only for the nurses, but I mean the patients are the number one thing. So again, I think Bernie Sanders definitely supports nurses and supports just patients overall, the general common person who doesn't have the money. And that's what we're here for. We stand for patient advocacy.
My name is Michael Jackson. I'm actually a nurse from UC San Diego, emergency department nurse. I'm one of the vice presidents that serves on the board for NNU.
Do you think this is the right decision to support Bernie?
Well, we're here to hear his conversation and see if his values line up with nurses' values. And so far, his values line up with nurses' values.
And now he's going to LA.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for being here. I know that you live under crazy schedules. You agree? Yes. And let me thank Roseanne and Debbie and Kelly and Linda and Kimberly for those wonderful words. I'm not often speechless, you know. As my wife will tell you. But I am humbled and enormously appreciative for your support. And the reason for that is that I know how enormously important is the work that you do every single day and every day of the year. You are the backbone of our healthcare system. And on behalf of the people of America, I want to thank each and every one of you for the work that you do. You are there bringing babies into this world. And you are there when they're comforting people, they're comforting kids who get sick, and people and families who are living with healthcare trauma. It is not an easy job. And the work that you do, and nurses all over this country, comfort millions and millions of people every year. So I want to thank you very much. But as I mentioned to Roseanne a few minutes ago, I also want to thank you for something special. It's not only the work that you do every day, but your understanding that for you to do the quality work that you want to do, which is to provide the best quality health care to every man, woman, and child, you understand that just being a nurse is not enough. We have to change the healthcare system in America. And we have to change boldly and fundamentally the priorities of this nation so that every American can experience the right to live with dignity, and so that not almost all of our wealth and income is going to the top 1%. And I applaud you for that. You work hard every day, but you understand that we have got to do more in order to provide the quality care that people need, and for you to do your jobs in the way that you want to do it. You do not want to see patients not being able to afford the prescription drugs they need. You do not want to see people hesitating to walk into an office because they don't have any health insurance or the deductibles like we have. And all of you and I are going to continue the fight to guarantee that health care is a right of all people. That we invest in nurses and in doctors and in medicine, not in the profits of insurance companies or drug companies. National Nurses United and I have worked together on a number of important issues. We've worked on the nursing shortage in this country. We need to make it a national priority to work together to train more nurses.
Yeah, you're right.
And that is exactly what I intend to do. It makes no sense to me that when we need nurses, we need doctors, we need dentists, we need more people involved in healthcare, that when people leave school for the crime of wanting to be involved in healthcare, they have enormous debts. That makes no sense. And that is why I work to triple funding for the National Health Service Corps for those nurses and doctors who are going to work in underserved areas. And that is why, as Roseanne mentioned, we have legislation in that I will fight to implement as president that will make every public college and university in America tuition free. Young person in this country who wishes to become a nurse, who needs to get the education that he or she requires, I want them to be able to do that regardless of the income of their families. But when we talk about transforming America, when we talk about creating an economy that works for all of us, and not just the people on top. There is much that has to be done, and I've been very proud to work with your union in telling Wall Street that they are going to have to start paying their fair share of it. No sense to me that after we bailed out Wall Street, you bailed out Wall Street, CEOs in the major financial institutions are doing better financially today than they've ever done. It makes no sense to me that a kid with marijuana can get a criminal record, but people who destroyed the economy get away scot-free. Is creating a political revolution, which says to the billionaire class, they can't have it all. This country, our government, belong to all of us. It is not acceptable to me, nor I think to you, that the top 1/10 of 1% now own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. It is not acceptable to me that over half of all new income created in America today goes to the top 1%. It is not acceptable that in recent years we have seen a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires while ordinary Americans are working longer hours for lower wages, and we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. Unacceptable. We are going to change that. As we go forth in this campaign, and your endorsement to me is a major, major step forward, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It is imperative that we think big, not small. That we bring forth a vision which the vast majority of Americans support. Not only of a nation where every man, woman, and child has health care as a right. not only a nation where everybody can afford the prescription drugs that are prescribed to them, a nation in which every person can get a college education regardless of his or her income. A nation in which we do not have unemployment rates for our young people of over 40%, but we create millions of jobs for our working people. A nation in which we have a tax system which is fair, which says to the billionaires, you can't have it all, you're going to start paying your fair share of taxes. A nation which leads the world in helping to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. A nation that says to our children and our grandchildren, and I've got 7 of them, we are going to leave you a planet that is habitable. So think big. This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But nobody knows it because almost all of the wealth rests in the hands of a few. There is no reason, as Roseanne said, no reason why we are the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. There is no reason why we are the only major country on earth that does not have a family and medical leave policy which guarantees time and funds for women who have babies. We cannot be the only major country on earth that doesn't have paid sick time, paid vacation time. Our vision is to create a child care system of the highest quality, so that when mom and dad go to work, they know that their kids will be in safe hands and get the highest quality care imaginable. Over the last 30 years, there has been a massive redistribution of wealth. Problem is that redistribution has gone in the wrong direction. It's gone from the middle class and working families to the top 1/10 of 1%. And what we are saying is enough is enough. We're going to bring that money back to the middle class. All of you know that in recent years we have seen an explosion of technology which makes almost every worker in America more productive. You tell me why it is that when workers are more productive, they're working longer hours for lower wages. Doesn't make sense. So getting back to the Woody Guthrie song that we marched in today. This land does belong to you and me. It belongs to all of us and not a handful of billionaires who are using this Citizens United Supreme Court decision to buy the United States government. And one of my first orders of business as president will be to do everything that I can to overturn Citizens United. And to move to a public funding of elections so that people can run for office without being dependent on billionaires. Roseanne mentioned super PACs. And what a disgrace it is that what politics has become is that candidates are going out looking for a sugar daddy, looking for a billionaire. It's like these NASCAR races, with badges on. Hey, I'm sponsored by the Koch brothers. I'm sponsored by Sheldon Adelson. I'm sponsored by ExxonMobil. Well, I am sponsored by you. somebody who doesn't have a super PAC, doesn't want money from billionaires, I would 1,000,000 times over prefer to be supported by you than any of the billionaires out there. Thank you all very much. First of all, let me thank you and all of the hundreds of thousands of people who work at the VA. If this nation stands for anything, it is the moral responsibility to do everything that we can to provide the highest quality health care in a timely manner for the men and women who put their lives on the line to defend this country. And as the caller indicated, we worked hard to produce a $17 billion health care piece of legislation for the VA. It was the, I think, largest increase in new legislation in modern history for our veterans. I think we have got to do more. As the caller indicated, the VA is hurting for money. And one of the reasons is that many veterans are going into the VA because they appreciate the quality of VA health care. And we owe them to make sure that the quality of care they get continues to be excellent and people get in a timely manner. When I was chairman of the VA committee in the Senate, we had a hearing, and all of the veterans organizations were there, the American Legion, the DAV, the VFW, Vietnam vets, all of them. And I asked them, simple question, when veterans get into the VA system, how do they feel about VA health care? And without exception, every one of the major organizations said the health care system for the VA is excellent. Quality of care is excellent. And I thank the nurses and the doctors and the staff at the VA. Now, in terms of union issues and the right to collectively engage in bargaining, you're looking at a U.S. Senator and a former member of the House who over a 25-year period has perhaps the best, strongest voting record for labor in the United States Congress. So it goes without saying that, of course, I support the right of RNs in the VA system to have full collective bargaining rights.
Is it on?
Is that loud?
Yeah, now it is. Okay. Thank you. Senator Sanders, I'm asking this question on behalf of nurses all across the country. Nurses are having a hard time providing safe care for our patients because of disastrous short staffing and poor working conditions. As too many hospitals put their profits and bottom line over patient safety. I read that you are a supporter of national legislation that NNU has sponsored that would require all hospitals to establish specific limits on the number of patients that each RN can take care of at all times. How can we convince Congress to do what's right in staffing for our patients and profession?
Well, to answer your question, you're absolutely right. I do support 100%, and I'm co-sponsor of legislation for sensible and safe staffing ratios. You cannot hire, we fought for that in Vermont, and congratulations to your efforts that you have that here in California. It has to be done nationally. And I know, and you know, this is not just for you. This is for your ability to provide quality care to your patients. You cannot do it. Nobody can do it if you have too many patients to take care of. So congratulations, I'm on board, and we'll make this happen.
Thank you, Martha. Operator, please connect our next RN caller.
Thank you. That's Jean Ross from Minnesota. Please go ahead, Jean.
Woo!
Hello. Senator Sanders. Nurses in the inhumanity of the corporate healthcare industry at work every day, often rationing and denying care our patients need, sometimes having to choose between paying medical bills or putting food on the table for their families, even if they have insurance. You are a longtime champion of single-payer health care. How can we work together to guarantee a single standard of safe therapeutic care for everyone, like the rest of the world does?
Thank you for that important question. There was a study a number of years ago that came out from Harvard University. And what it said is that every single year, many thousands of our fellow Americans die unnecessarily. You know why they die? Because they walk into a doctor's office and the doctor says, "Why weren't you here 6 months ago?" And the patient says, "Well, I didn't have any health insurance, or my deductible was too high." And then the doctor or nurse says, "Well, it's too late. It's too late." I talked to so many people in the healthcare profession who have experienced that horrendous reality. Can you imagine?
Yes.
That somebody who could have been saved dies because they don't have health insurance or they have a deductible which is too high. And not only that, people end up in the hospital, deathly ill, when if they had been treated when they should have been treated, a whole lot of suffering, and by the way, financial cost could have been saved.
Yes.
Our vision is that when people get sick, they should be able to get health care regardless of their income, because it is a right in this country. I live in Burlington, Vermont, 100 miles away from Canada. They guarantee health care to all of their people. The UK guarantees health care to all their people. France guarantees health care. Scandinavia guarantees health care. Why in God's name are we the only major country on earth that doesn't do it? And by the way, not only do we have 35 million people today without any health insurance, not only do we have even more who are underinsured, high deductibles, high copayments. At the end of all of that, we end up spending almost twice as much per person on health care as any other country. That makes no sense. And that is why together we are going to go forward for a Medicare for all single payer program.
Operator, let's hear from our next caller.
Oh.
An extremely important question. Let me tell you a little story, if I might. Maybe 15 years or so ago, I learned that in our country, prescription drug costs are much, much, much higher than in any other country. You all know that. And what I did, I will never forget, sometimes in life there's something that you never forget. This is one thing I will never forget. I took a busload of women who were dealing with breast cancer, working class women. I became the first member of Congress to take them across the Canadian border, go to Montreal. And what I observed, which is what I will never forget, is these are working class women struggling with breast cancer. They were able to purchase the medicine they needed for 1/10 of the price they were paying in Vermont and in the United States. Same exact drug for 1/10 of the price. So what we have been trying to do is to take on an enormously powerful lobby, and that is pharma, that represents the pharmaceutical industry. Now these folks believe in free trade for everything. But for some reason, we're unable to import drugs from Canada or from Europe, which are much lower cost. For some reason, Medicare is unable to negotiate drug prices with the pharmaceutical industry. It is greed. Now, in this TPP agreement, there is a provision, and the caller is exactly right, a provision that would extend the copyright for prescription drugs
preventing poor countries from getting generics. And Doctors Without Borders, I think you're familiar with that group, a very heroic group, who go to the world, wherever they that's right. They go all over the world where there are major healthcare crises impacting poor people, and they tell us that the TPP would be a total disaster. Make it harder for the people in poor countries to get the life-saving medicine they desperately need. You are looking at a senator and former congressman who voted against NAFTA, CAFTA, permanent normal trade relations. And is going to lead the effort to prevent the passage of the TPP. And by the way, just so you know it, there is a stumbling block now among the 12 countries. Some countries like Australia and others are fighting back over this particular provision. They do not want the people in their countries to be forced to pay much higher prices for prescription drugs than they should. So we are going to keep up the effort. You cannot have a strong healthcare system if people in this country, and in fact people throughout the world, cannot afford the medicine that they need. So we're going to continue. When we talk about creating a new America, at the top of our list is to end racism in all its ugly forms. All of us were nauseated when we have seen the videos, whether it's Sandra Bland or other people. We know that if those folks were white, they would not be dragged out of a car, thrown into jail. We know that. So there is a lot that has to be done with criminal justice. And I start off with this fact. Shamefully, the United States of America has more people in jail than any other country on earth. Did you know that? Yes. We have more people in jail than China, which is a communist authoritarian country. And for the people in jail, it is disproportionately high for African Americans and Hispanics. So our job is to create a criminal justice system which does everything possible to cut back on the number of people in jail. We need a criminal justice system such that police departments do not look like military occupiers. We need community policing. We need police officers who wear cameras. We need to make certain, and by the way, I was a mayor for 8 years, and I think all of you know, being a cop is not an easy job. Not an easy job. But when a police officer commits a crime, that officer must be held accountable. We need to end minimum sentencing for nonviolent crimes. When people go to jail and get a criminal record, very difficult for them to come back into civil society, get a job, go to school, get housing. When people, in fact, do go to jail, we need to provide a path from jail back into society. And you're not going to have that when people leave jail without jobs, without education, and in some cases without the mental health counseling that they need. So we need a revolution in criminal justice. I want the United States no longer to have the distinction of having more people in jail than any other country. I want the United States to have the distinction of having the best educated population on earth. And I want our kids to have jobs and education, not be hanging around street corners with nothing to do.
Thank you, Martins and Senator Sanders. Let's hear from our next NNU RN.
Yes.
Let's hear from our next RN.
And that's Carrie in Orlando. Please go ahead.
Hello, Senator Sanders. Nurses are seeing more children than ever with asthma. It is directly caused by pollution. Patients facing heart disease, cancer, or other health effects from toxic chemical spills from the pipeline spills and oil trains. And many of us have been part of actions to oppose the Keystone Pipeline because of the health impact and raise public awareness about the threats to our health and planet caused by climate change. What would you do to stop the climate crisis and create a sustainable economy?
You're looking at a candidate who was endorsed by Friends of the Earth, one of the largest environmental organizations, because of my record on climate change and environmental issues. There is no question, no debate, that right now a significant amount of illness, cancer, etc., is sometimes caused by environmental issues. No debate about that. What we need to do is to make sure that we understand the impact of chemicals in our society, that the air that we breathe is clean, that the water that we drink is clean, that the food that we eat is healthy. And if the chemical companies don't like it, that's their problem, but our kids deserve to eat quality food and drink clean water. And I think the evidence is also out there that not only is climate change already causing devastating problems to this planet in terms of drought and flooding and extreme weather disturbances, if we do not transform our energy system, the situation will only become much worse, and obviously it will impact human health. So one of my top priorities as President of the United States will be to have this country lead the world, work with China, India, Russia, other countries in breaking our dependence on fossil fuel and moving to energy efficiency and wind, solar, geothermal, and other sustainable energy. In a country which has massive levels of income and wealth inequality, it is absolutely imperative that we tell the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations and Wall Street that they are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. And along with the National Nurses United Union, we have introduced legislation to do just that. It is a tax on Wall Street speculation that can raise hundreds of billions of dollars a year in new revenue, and also tamper down Wall Street gambling and speculation. And what we will do with that money is we will provide free tuition at our public colleges and universities. We will substantially lower interest rates on student debt, and we will have significant revenue left over to create millions of jobs in this country. The first pieces of legislation I offered when I first came to Congress was legislation that would make it easier for workers to join unions. Employee Free Choice Act. There are millions of workers in this country, not everybody, but millions of workers who want to join a union, but are unable to do so because suddenly and mysteriously a worker active in the organizing effort suddenly gets fired because she was late 3 years ago. And we understand that employers take people into propaganda sessions. We understand that employers threaten workers. You want a union? Good. You form a union. We're shutting down here and we're going to China. We understand that it is not uncommon that when workers, in fact, go through all of these hoops and form a union, negotiate a first contract, employers refuse to sit down and honestly negotiate that contract. So I am a strong, strong supporter of the Employee Free Choice Act, which very simply says that if 50% of the workers in a bargaining unit plus one sign a card saying they want a union, they will have that union. And to further answer your question, I mean, you know what this right-wing attack on unions is about. It's about two things. First, employers do not want to sit down and to collectively negotiate, because you stand together, you have power. If you go there alone, you're nothing. When you get threatened to strike, you have leverage. When you go in there alone, you're just one person begging. But when you stand together, you have some clout. But the second reason why the Scott Walkers and others want to destroy unions in America, I will tell you why. I'll tell you why. It is a very political reason, and that is that right now, given the power of the billionaire class in corporate America, given Citizens United, which allows the Koch brothers and others to buy politicians, the trade union movement in America, and you all, are the last line of defense for working people against corporate greed. You know, the Koch brothers, people, media doesn't report this. Back in 1980, David Koch ran for Vice President of the United States on the Libertarian Party. This was his agenda then, and I believe this is still their agenda. They don't want to cut Social Security. They want to eliminate Social Security. They don't want to cut Medicare or Medicaid. They want to eliminate Medicare, Medicaid, and all public health programs in the United States. They don't want to not raise the minimum wage. I would hope that all of us want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Yeah! You know what they want to do? They want to eliminate the concept. So in a high unemployment area, if somebody can hire you for $4 an hour, that is what they want. We talked about the environment and illness caused by environmental pollution. They want to eliminate the Environmental Protection Agency. This is an extreme right-wing family who will now put more money into this campaign than either the Democrats or the Republicans. And they're involved, obviously, in ALEC. They're doing it in Washington. They're doing it in state after state after state. Which gets me back to the point of overturning Citizens United. Gets me back to the point of strengthening the trade union movement. If we do not have a stronger trade union movement, the future of the middle class in this country is very much in doubt. So that's my answer. Here's why the rich get richer and everybody else gets poorer. Here's why a Republican Party, which essentially believes in tax breaks to billionaires, cuts to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, and every program that working families need, keep getting elected. How do they get elected? You know how they get elected? Because throughout the modern history of the Republican Party, what they do is play one group off against the other and have millions of people vote against their own economic best interests. Not so long ago, they were telling white workers, hey, these blacks want your job. Vote for me. We'll stop them. They were telling men, women want your job. Stop them. Telling straight people, we cannot accept gay marriage. Vote against gay marriage. They divide, divide, divide. And what they're doing right now in absolutely unacceptable language is to try to pit people born in this country against immigrants coming into this country. My father came to this country at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket. All right? I am the son of an immigrant. Right now, we have 11 million undocumented people in this country, many of whom are being exploited because they have no legal rights. I was in Phoenix a few weeks ago, talked to a half a dozen young Hispanic kids, tears rolling down their eyes with the fear that they or somebody in their family would be deported. We need to take these people, these workers, out of the shadows We need to provide immediately legal rights for them. We need to make sure that families are not divided up. We need to pass comprehensive immigration reform. We need a path towards citizenship. Three and a half months ago, we've only been in this race, while it seems like 18 years, it's only 3.5 months. My wife thinks it's about 30 years, right? We haven't had a day off in a long time. When I began this race, people said, well, Sanders is quaint, look at his hair. There you go, all right. And he doesn't dress particularly well. He's an interesting guy, but obviously not a serious candidate. Imagine standing up for working people and taking on the billionaire class. What a laughable idea that is. Who's going to support that idea? Then the campaign progresses. We have a rally in Denver. 5,000 people come out. We have a rally in Minneapolis. 7,000 people come out. We have a rally in Dallas, Texas, not the hotbed of progressivism in America. 8,000 people come out. We have a rally in Madison, Wisconsin, 10,000. A rally in Phoenix, 11,000. 2 nights ago, we had a rally in Seattle, 15,000. Last night in Portland, it was unbelievable. 28,000 people there. Tonight we're doing a rally. After we leave here, we're flying to LA and we're doing a rally there. But it's not only that. What they are saying, and here's the interesting point. What they're saying, okay, Bernie, yeah, you're striking a nerve. You got all these crazy nurses with you. Got millions of people. Okay, but here's the real story, Bernie. You don't have a super PAC. Where is your billionaire to buy the election for you? And what I have said to them, I ain't gonna have a super PAC. I don't need billionaires, and I am very proud. I want you all to hear this. We have, up to this point, more people, more individuals contributing to our campaign than any other campaign. And you know what the average contribution is? Average contribution is $31. So this is a people's campaign. So it goes without saying that we will be outspent. And for the media, that's the main thing. Where's your billionaire? How many hundreds of millions you're going to raise? We are going to raise, we'll be outspent, but we will raise enough money to run a winning campaign because, and this is what we're seeing here today, we are putting together a grassroots movement of millions of people. That's how we're going to win.
That you have a Congress that is predominantly Republican, and while you have many good ideas in the eyes of many people, the reality of that Congress is pretty fatal. What are you going to do about that Congress?
But, let me answer it in 2 ways. That's a very fair question. Let me answer it in 2 ways. First of all, what is exciting me very much in this campaign so far is if you were at the meeting that we had in Portland, what you would have seen and what you would see in many meetings that we have had, and I suspect you'll see it in LA tonight, is thousands and thousands of young people with enormous energy saying, yes, we are going to be part of the political process. Last election, the reason Republicans did so well, one of the reasons, is that 63% of the American people didn't vote, 80% of young people didn't vote. We have got to change that. We have got to revitalize the political system. We have got to get millions of people to jump in, to vote, to be actively participating.
And I believe that more than any other campaign out there, this campaign has the excitement, has the momentum, has the energy to do that. And when we do that, it means not only electing me as president, it means winning many Senate elections and many House elections of people who win when voter turnout is low. That's the first point. Second point, maybe more importantly. What I have said over and over again, and I repeat to you today, that no president, no matter how well-intentioned, how decent, can accomplish what has to be accomplished for the working families and the middle class of this country unless there is a political revolution. Okay? And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the Koch brothers and the billionaire class and Wall Street and corporate America are so powerful that no president alone can take them on. The way you push forward a progressive agenda, the agenda we have talked about today, is when millions of people stand up and they say to the Republicans, you got a choice. You are going to vote for a national health care system or you're not going to have your job. I can't do it alone. And let me be very clear. Let me give you the good news and the bad news. The good news is I think we're going to do very, very well. I think we're going to surprise the pundits. I think we got a good shot to win it. But I need your help, not just during the campaign. I need your help the day after the campaign. I need you, the trade union movement, and millions of Americans to tell the United States Congress, you know what? You're going to start reflecting the needs of the American people and not just wealthy campaign contributors.
Because, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of labor unions and reporters, people and organizers tell me they like you, they support you, but they want to have this, they want to make sure that they feel like they're backing the right person and they can back somebody who wins. You obviously got a big endorsement today with the Nurses Union. How are you planning to court more labor union support to back your campaign? Because I know you met with the AFL-CIO last week. And then as an addendum, what do you think about the upcoming vote for NCAA players being able to unionize?
I believe in the trade union movement. I have not only, as I mentioned to you, a 98% lifetime voting record with the AFL-CIO, the highest of any member of Congress who's been there as long as I have. I have walked the picket lines. I have defended unions when they were under attack. We have used the resources of our offices when we could to help people form unions. So I believe that if you look at all of the issues impacting working people, including trade policy and the TPP, the AFL-CIO will conclude that Bernie Sanders is the strongest pro-union candidate of any.
You're here in a city that has been racked by racial tensions, attention to the Black Lives Matter movement from Oscar Grant forward. A couple of days ago in Seattle, you had your microphone commandeered by activists. By two people. But we've seen a variety of tactics here, from nonviolent protests to property damage. You had that experience in Seattle. What do you think are the appropriate tactics? What should people be doing from this?
I think the goals of the Black Lives Movement are absolutely right. We are going to end institutional racism. And I think that anybody who studies my record in the civil rights movement in Congress, I think will conclude that there is no candidate who will be stronger in two respects. Number one, the absolute need to end institutional racism and the fight for real criminal justice reform. Enormous issue. But there's another issue. And I want to remind people, not everybody agrees with me, but I think it's important. When we talk about racial justice, all of you will remember that when Martin Luther King Jr. led the March on Washington, do you know what that march was called? It was called Jobs and Justice. Jobs and Justice. And I believe that when you have, according to the Economic Policy Institute, 51% of young African American kids who are unemployed, I believe that we need to stand up economically and create jobs for those young people. When you have African American kids unable to afford to go to college, we have got to make sure that a college education is available to all. When 40% of the children of African American kids are living in poverty in a nation that has the highest rate of childhood poverty, some 20%, we have got to address that issue as well. So I see the issue for racial justice in two directions. Number one, to end every vestige of institutional racism in this country and reform criminal justice. But equally important, to make sure that we have an economy where kids today who are born in poverty can in fact make it into the middle class and can get the education and the jobs they need.
Accord with a certain segment of America. How do you explain Donald Trump?
I'll let his mother explain Donald Trump.